Is the Sustainable Skies Conference greenwash? Hey everyone, it's George, Safe Landing co-founder and former airline pilot. I'm here at the Sustainable Skies Conference in Farnborough Airport, ironically the UK's largest private jet airport. We've been attending a number of different talks and panels today from speakers from across the industry. What's notable about Sustainable Skies, this conference, is it is a very heavily curated conference. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of fancy words, there's a lot of optimism about the future, but there's not a lot of reality in the room. There's not a lot of reality about the scale of the crisis and the pace of change that is needed to reduce our emissions to remain within a livable future and to actually have any chance of flying into the future. We attended a panel on airspace modernisation and non-CO2. We asked a whole load of questions, really pertinent questions about demand management. They were talking about the airspace is really congested and we need to modernise the airspace to reduce emissions. But if the airspace is so congested, what's going to happen when we double the number of flights taking off from airports? What happens if we triple the number of flights that are in the sky? Surely if we need to reduce congestion in the sky and reduce emissions, we need to reduce the number of planes in the sky and do it in a really fair way. So surely we need to be talking about demand management, frequent flyer levy, a fuel tax, ending the VAT exemption on aviation. Yet none of this is being talked about. All of the inconvenient options are not being talked about. And we asked all these questions on the app, and none of our questions were picked and none of our questions were answered because the questions were heavily curated. And another thing that's not being talked about, and a voice that isn't here, are aviation workers. And aviation workers really are a key part in this whole equation about how we decarbonise. They're a voice that is not included and they're not engaged in this topic through no fault of their own. They're simply not asked. And that's where Safe Landing comes in. That's where we believe that aviation workers actually play a really critical role in how we decarbonise aviation. They've got a lot of expertise that they can bring to the table. And they're a massive stakeholder because if we don't decarbonise fast enough, we're all going to lose our jobs, not to mention a livable planet. We think we can bring aviation workers into the room by things called workers' assemblies. Tomorrow, Finley and I are going to be talking about our work in Safe Landing and the concept of workers' assemblies in a breakout group. We'll report back to you tomorrow and we'll tell you how it goes. If you want to learn more about our work and get involved in Safe Landing, head to our website at safe-landing.org.